PAHO colleague. I'm Paulo Lira with the Department of Communications. And today our guest is Travis Hai from PBE. Hello, Travis.
Hi, Paulo. It's great to be here with you.
Thank you, Travis, for being with us today. So, Travis, this interview is a series about human resources at PAHO. And in this particular interview, we are focusing on learning opportunities. So can you start by telling us what learning resources offered by the organization have you used so far?
Well, yeah, and again, thank you for inviting me to participate in it. It's a real pleasure to be here for this. I think I've used most of the resources that are available. There's iLearn, which is the WHO platform that is a great source of courses. PMIS Learning has several resources, and the great thing about that is it has the advantage of being integrated with the system that we use every day. There's also LinkedIn Learning and Blueline. I've really enjoyed exploring LinkedIn Learning. There are so many external courses on many random topics, and just to give an example, I found one on how to become a chief of staff, which is a very specific kind of course, but it was taught by this a chief of staff of I think of LinkedIn, actually, teaching the topics of the what's required for that type of job, which is very specific. So lots of very interesting things on LinkedIn Learning. And then Blueline is a platform that connects with the broader UN community, which is also really interesting and important for the work that we do.
Okay, so thank you. That's really interesting, Travis. You mentioned a couple of topics. Can you mention other topics that some maybe were more related to your area or of your area of work right now?
Actually, let me start by making a case for the mandatory courses, because I think that's something that everybody needs to pay attention to and comply with the requirements in a timely manner. So, I mean, the prevention of and responses to sexual exploitation and abuse course is required of all of us. It's very important and very interesting. Social media, very practical and very interesting as well. Cybersecurity was interesting because I had actually taken the WHO course on cybersecurity before, a couple months before it became a requirement at PAHO. So for a while I didn't take the PAHO course, but then I took it again, and I thought it was really important as a refresher. So even if you have done these before, I mean, even having a refresher could be important. But related to my work, the courses on Blueline are very good. There are several that are related to the area of work that PBE is responsible for. There are courses on results-based management, strategic planning, monitoring and evaluation, and others. But they also have courses on things like partnerships and negotiations, and these are areas where, you know, me as a learner, I felt like I could maybe grow, but there are also soft skill, what I call soft skill or competency kind of courses on things like emotional intelligence and running effective meetings. So these are all very good. I've also taken a course on health financing a while back. One of my goals and things in my learning plan is to increase a number of courses that I take that are related to technical topics, because I find that it's really important in the work that I do, where we see the work of the whole organization, to be familiar with all of these areas of work. So that is very important. I've taken the governing bodies document training that is required of all writers of governing bodies documents. I've also contributed to that because we were consulted in PBE in the design of that when it was launched a couple of years back.
Excellent. So this is very, very interesting, Travis. Can you give some advice to PAHO colleagues who want to use more the existing learning resources that offered by the organization?
Sure. Well, I think it's important before just scanning the menu, I think it's important to look at the competencies that are required for your job and to do a mapping of those. Not only your job, of course, you can look at where your long-term career development pathway is, and considering all of that, do a mapping of what those competencies are. And then I would say have a conversation with your supervisor, and try to start to prioritize which competencies really need strengthening, or knowledge areas that you need to be exposed to. And then after you've done all that homework, start to map the existing resources on all the many different platforms that are available. But also, I really think you mentioned using existing learning resources, but I think it's also important not to be limited and to be proactive in looking at what courses are offered out there, and add that to your plan, and then come up with a very realistic plan with, as you normally would in any plan, with milestones and what you hope to achieve for this year, incorporated into your performance evaluations, and really track that, and with your supervisor, be accountable for doing that.
Well, Travis, congratulations for being a colleague who uses so well the existing and future training resources of the organization. And thank you for being with us today.
Thank you, Paulo.
And thank you, colleague, for being with us today too.